Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langai Tegarim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to welcome everyone to this program, Shastra Sangeet. First part of the program is Shastra, and after a short little talk that I'll give, we'll have the dance recital. That part is the Sangeet. So, this world that we live in is not our original place. We're spiritual, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, that the body that we have is always changing. Dehi nosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dahantara praptir diras tatra namuyati. That just like one has a baby body, then after some time, child's body, young person's body, middle-aged body, old body. So just as we see in this life, the body is continuously changing, Krishna says. At the time of death, one gets a new body. Another verse from the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says that just as one changes one's old clothes, when our clothes become worn, torn, or dirty, right? We change them. We get a new set of clothes. In the same way, the living entity is changing bodies. Now, this is a rudimentary understanding that Krishna gives to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But it is something that everyone needs to understand, that we're not this body. When the Pandavas were were asked by, Yudhishthira especially, was asked by Yamaraj, what's the most amazing thing in this world? And he replied, the most amazing thing is that people every day see living entities are dying. Somebody's dying every day. A death in the family or a friend. We see every day somebody's dying. But yet the most amazing thing is that we're working or acting in such a way as if we're going to live forever. We see that. People work hard to make a house, right? And they make the house as strong as they can, right? But no matter how strong the house is that we make, we're not going to be living in that house forever. There'll be a time when we'll have to leave, just like when we have to leave this body. So a lot of the problems that face people in life is not understanding the temporariness of this material world. Because we think that we're going to live here eternally. Why do we think like that? I mean, it's so obvious that we're not, right? But the reason why we think like that is because of our actual identity as eternal spirit souls. We're not this body, then what are we? We're eternal spirit souls. We're eternally existing, right? Krishna, when he explained the Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, Krishna said that I explained this to the sun god first. Now I'm explaining it again to you because the science as it is appeared to be lost. Right? So Arjuna was wondering, well, the sun god lived so many years before. And Krishna explained that both you and I, many lives have lived. I remember them all, but you do not. So the living entity is has many different chapters in his existence. Shastra describes that there's 8,400,000 different species of life. Just see how exact the Vedic literatures are. Even today, a biologist would be hard-pressed to tell you exactly how many species of life there are. Right? But Shastra says clearly 8,400,000 species of life. So many aquatics, so many birds, so many plants, right? And human beings also. So Shastra is very exact. Science is more about coming up with an idea or a theory and trying to prove it. But the Vedic literatures, they're already proven because they come from the Supreme Lord. So in the Shastras, it is explaining that we are eternal spirit souls. The body can be killed, nahanyate hanyamani sharire, that the body may be killed, but the soul it never dies. The soul is eternal. And the living entity identifies with the material body because he's operating with the senses, operating with the mind, and therefore he identifies with the body. But in reality, the body is not going to last, it's temporary, and the soul is eternal. So what's important? The car or the driver of the car? The eternal spirit soul is giving the body life, just like the driver in a car, right? Without the driver, the car doesn't move. In the same way, this body is animated because of the existence of the eternal spirit soul. When we realize that our real identity is not this body, but an eternal spirit soul, then we make different choices in life. Life is a matter of choices, right? It's like going down the road, and you can turn right, you can turn left, you can go straight, right? You can go backwards. So different choices are there in this journey of life. And life is how we deal with the choices that come before us. And as long as we're in this bodily concept of life, our choices won't be realistic. They won't be in our self-interest, right? They'll be in some materialistic calculation. So the Vedic literature, especially the Bhagavad-gita as explained by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, is to guide us how to make the choices in life on a spiritual platform and not on the material platform. And the Lord, the Supreme Lord, when he makes this world, he gives guidance how to live in the world. Just like a manufacturer of anything, your new cell phone. Well, when you get it, there's a manual how to operate the cell phone. Right? So many instructions are there. In the same way, when the Lord makes this material world, he gives instructions. He even comes himself to guide us how to live in the world. And more than that, how to transcend this material world to the spiritual world. The knowledge that's contained in Bhagavad-gita is specifically for that purpose, to help us transcend this, the problems that are here in the material world. So many people see problems in different ways, right? But if they just boil down to actually four things, there's actually just four big problems that we need to work with and solve. Many people go to the church or to the mosque and they pray for some material benefit. I come from a Christian background, so the Our Father prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, give us our daily bread. Right? So we're praying to God to solve our bread problem, right? But this is not the real problems in life. The real problem is that we've taken birth in this material world, and we have to grow old, become diseased, and eventually die. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukkha doshana darshanam. A wise person sees these as the real difficulties in life and how to solve these problems. This is the message that's there in Bhagavad-gita Lord Krishna is giving to Arjuna for our benefit. So how to negotiate through this life and solve these problems. Previously, there were various methods. People in different ages had different means. One mean was by performance of Vedic sacrifices, which are enunciated in the Vedas. There's also the process of meditation, which Lord Krishna explains in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. Different ways to solve the same poor problems of life. But in this age, this is the age of Kali. And in this age, it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam that people don't live for very long. Prayenal yate sabya kalavasmin yuge janaha manda sumanamatayo manda bhagya padritaha. People have a very short duration of life, and also they're manda, they're very slow towards spiritual life. If you come to somebody and ask them to take up spiritual life, it's more or less the last thing on their mind, right? They'll tell you they don't have time, right? And in Kali Yuga, this is one of the biggest problems, is people think they don't have time. If you go to someone and request them, please chant Hare Krishna, the reply will be, Mere paas samay nahi hai. They have time for, seeing so many things on the internet, for watching the cricket game, or for that they have time. But for chanting the holy name, they have no time. So, in this age, Shastra explains that the method for solving these problems of life, birth, death, old age, and disease, is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The holy name is non-different from the Supreme Lord. When you chant water, 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 you don't have the object. The object and the name are two different things. But in the spiritual realm, the name and the object are one and the same thing. So when you're chanting the holy name, you're directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. And by that contact with the Supreme Lord, through chanting the holy name, chanting His holy name, one understands one's identity as the eternal spirit soul. And by understanding our true identity as eternal spirit souls, then when we leave this body, we'll go to the spiritual world. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad-gita that whatever one thinks of at the time of death, that state one will attain without fail. So if we think of the holy name of the Lord, we think of the Lord's pastimes, then when we're leaving this body, we'll transcend to the spiritual world. We won't have to come back to this place of birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is a great benefit. What was performed in other ages by meditation, yajna, study of the Vedic literatures, can easily be obtained simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the responsibility, the human form of life is special as compared to the animal form of life. In the animal form of life, there's not much responsibility. There's more responsibility in the human form of life, because in this human form of life, that one can actually solve the problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. Animals don't have this capacity. Therefore, the Supreme Lord has endowed the human being with added intelligence. And that added intelligence gives us the facility to understand that we're not this body, we're the eternal spirit soul, and that I have this relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that relationship can be developed nicely through the process of bhakti. And bhakti begins by chanting the holy name of the Lord. And there are many other processes: hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Sakyam-Atma-Nivedam, 9 processes of devotional service. So any one of these that we take up, and especially hearing and chanting, that can bring us to the perfect stage. And that perfect stage is that at the time of death we're able to think of the Supreme Lord. And this will bring us the perfection of this human form of life. We may do so many other things in life, right? People are busy raising their families and having so many other responsibilities. And that's all fine, right? That's part of life. But at the same time, one has to practice and work on one's spiritual development at the same time. We develop things materially. Some people are developing a career or a company, so many different things, which is okay. But at the same time, some amount of time must be given for developing our spiritual existence. Srila Prabhupada used to give the example that a train runs on 2 tracks, right? Not just 1 track. There's material existence, which obviously needs attention, and there's spiritual existence, which also requires attention. Some people think that, well, when I get old, I'll start my spiritual life, right? But that's not the advice that Prahlad Maharaj gives in Srimad Bhagavatam. He says even from the young age of 5 years old, one should begin one's spiritual cultivation. It's a cultivation. Cultivating an attitude of spirituality. It just doesn't happen by osmosis. There's a process. And that process, Srila Prabhupada has outlined in his books, like the Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if one regularly reads these books by Srila Prabhupada, one will inculcate the process of bhakti in one's life, how to execute both things nicely, one's material existence and spiritual existence. People are so stressed out, people are so much in anxiety, right? And that goes along with this material body. If you have a material body, there will be anxiety. However, Srila Prabhupada explains in his books how to channelize that anxiety. Instead of being in anxiety about something material, one can be in anxiety about something spiritual. And we see that the most successful persons in life, they've accumulated great wealth, right? What do? Like Rockefeller, right? He performed humanitarian activities later on when he had so much money. Or Bill Gates, the Bill Gates Foundation, is trying to do good for others, right? Because the people that have great wealth, they've been there, they've done that, and they see that there's something else, and that something else many times translates into humanitarian activities, trying to benefit other people. People get a satisfaction by trying to benefit others. But what is the real benefit that we can do for others? Again, if it's not something in relation to the actual identity of the living entity, but as something in relationship to the body, it's not ultimately beneficial. There's two things. There's Shreyas activities and there's Preyas activities. The Preyas activities, we get some immediate benefit. If I'm hungry, I eat, right? If I'm thirsty, I drink. This is Preyas. Right? But there's also Shreyas activities that are ultimately benefit, just like children, right? Children want to play. They don't want to go to school, they want to play, right? But the parents insist that they go to school. Why? Because although they want to play, they know that and for their ultimate good, they should learn, they should study. So later on in life, they don't suffer. And that's Shreyas. So when you focus on Shreyas, what is our ultimate benefit of life, that translates into something that is spiritual, because our identity is spiritual. This body is material, the soul is eternal. As long as I'm trying to find my happiness in relation with something of this body, the senses or whatever it is, then I won't be happy. Right? It won't be satisfying. But as soon as we navigate that same intention that I want to be happy, right? But I do it in relationship with my real identity as an eternal spirit soul, then we begin to become actually satisfied. Then we become actually happy. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada's books are the guide. How to come to that platform of spiritual awakening, spiritual happiness. And it's very clear that if you get out of spiritual life what you invest in spiritual life, right? If you don't invest anything in the Bombay Stock Exchange, you can't expect to get anything, right? But if you put in some money, you calculate what's the rising stock and you buy stock in the Bombays, then you can get some benefit, you can get some profit. People are looking after that profit. Right? So spiritual life is like that. You invest time, you invest your efforts, and then you get back. And what do you get back? You get a spiritual profit. A spiritual profit that goes into an account that is never exhausted. In this material world, whatever we're working for, whatever we're trying to accumulate, one day it's going to be zero because we have to leave it all behind, right? Whatever it is. You can't, the saying, you can't take it with you. Right? But whatever you do in a spiritual sense, whatever you do for the pleasure of Krishna, that is your eternal benefit. It goes into a spiritual account and it is never lost. Krishna is such a grateful person. Even if you do a little something for him, he never forgets it. In this material world, we all have friends. We do things for our friends, but sometimes we feel they become a little neglectful, and although we've done many things for them, they kind of are ungrateful. But Krishna is never like that. Whatever we do for the pleasure of Krishna, he always remembers that, and he always takes it into account. So it behooves us to use this human form of life in developing our spiritual relationship with Krishna. That relationship is there. Sarvasya chaham rani vani risto. That I am existing in everyone's heart, Krishna says. And if we realize that Krishna is there, he's within our heart, he's the closest person to us, then we can begin to develop that relationship with him. But unfortunately, although Krishna is residing in our hearts, we are ignoring him, right? And but Krishna is very patient. He doesn't become upset. He's patiently waiting for that time when we acknowledge his existence, acknowledge his the relationship that we have with him. And that's the process of bhakti, and that's explained nicely in Srila Prabhupada's books. So I encourage everyone, if you have Srila Prabhupada's books, please read them. If you don't have Srila Prabhupada's books, please approach one of the bookstalls and get Srila Prabhupada's books. That will help you, and you'll be in a position where you can actually help others also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.